Welcome back to Traveler's PROC. Yeah, there's just a tournament.
You
it's
won.
over.
You
Oh, we
won.
won.
You're not saying
We
anything
won.
about that? You won.
Yeah. No, it's sick. It was a fun weekend, long weekend. You had
Very long
four
weekend.
best of fives
Yeah.
at 11 a.m. I feel like if anybody
Yeah.
had to go through that, it was not a good thing. Like, I love playing best of five Smite. Like, I love it so much, but 4 best of fives in a row, first set. Like, if it was like mixed up, like if one of the sets was like second set, I feel like it'd be so much more tolerable than like 4 best of fives at 11 a.m.
Yeah, it was okay. It's kind of tough because like I like them. Okay, I like playing best of fives, like you said,
Mhm.
and I love playing in the morning because I hate it when I'm waiting on another team.
It's
Like,
so bad.
okay, the way the Warriors Ravens had it yesterday, we were down 1-2 to the Kings, then
Mhm.
we come back and win both of the next 2 games. So they're at the studio literally like 2.5 hours early. Like, you just get so griefed by the other
It's
team.
so bad.
It's
yeah.
awful. Like, it sounds like a small problem, but if you really think about it, like, you're sat there in the studio, you can't talk about what you want to do for your set because the other team's right there. You could go like outside or in your car, I guess, if you won.
Yeah.
And then you're just staring at a wall, just like you're anxious, like everything. It's so
Yeah, it's like how I look at it is it's like icing the kicker in football. Like when you call timeout,
that's a good comparison.
but like you come into the studio and then you just have to wait, and you're just like, okay, are they gonna end the game? Oh no, the team threw. Now I have to sit through another game.
Yeah.
Or they threw and then neither team ends, and then the team that's up 2-1 loses. That is actually like, I imagine if someone had to sit through our last set today. Like game 4 went 56 minutes, we end up losing it.
Yeah.
Dude, that'd be so grief.
Our set was not good either, so it was tough. Also, Yenny M's asked, do you root for someone? You always root for the team ahead. You always root for the
no
team.
matter what,
Yes,
no matter
yes.
what scenario, even if it's bad for you, like, please just win so we can play.
Okay, and then people get really annoyed, and like if someone was playing after you guys today,
Yeah.
people hate it when one team's down and then you win, you make the teams after you wait, and then you lose anyways. Then people get really mad.
Yeah.
They just like feel spiteful.
Yeah, you have to win to make it worth it.
But anyways, yeah. What's up, everybody? Walsall also asked, "Is this the last Traveler's PROC for the year?" It is not.
Yeah.
This will be.
We don't know what we're doing for.
Yeah.
It's gonna be, we might have some more studio. This might be, there'll be another studio one
Before Worlds.
before
probably,
Worlds for
yeah.
sure, but we're gonna do online if me and Mike are not both here.
Yeah, we don't know what we're doing with that stuff yet, but we'll tweet. We'll let you guys know what the plan is. Really quick, we're going to recap the tournament, the pre-Worlds playoffs. What do we even call this?
It wasn't Masters, right? It was.
Yeah.
Do you know, Billy, what it was called or no?
Road to World
Thank you.
Playoffs. There we go. Yeah. If you can throw that up, Billy, if you don't mind. So just recapping this really quick. This is your standard kind of qualifying 4 out of the 6 teams here for Worlds. Of course, as we mentioned at the start, the Ferryman and Aurora's team finished first. We got a very impressive 4th on 4 best of 5, so that was fun. But
Our set was really close, I feel like.
Yeah.
That 600 health Titan with Dardas and Timeline, that was actually crazy.
dude, I don't.
Yeah.
We trolled so hard. We should have ended the game. We should have gone to 5.
But yeah, that was a close set.
Yeah, it was.
The Warriors Leviathan set and
That was
our
fun
set.
to watch. That was really fun to watch.
This was a good turn.
It was.
The Kings Dragon set as well. Like,
Yeah.
even though it probably wasn't fun to play, like that set was probably one of the most entertaining sets of the entire tournament, at
Yeah.
least for me to watch.
I mean, the Levi's Kings 3-0 actually wasn't that hard of a stomp. The Warriors kind of stomped us and the Ravens pretty hard, but like I feel like every other set was actually a good set. Like, it was pretty competitive and pretty fun to watch. But yeah, we're not gonna spend a ton of time on that because we're just obviously exhausted, but always excited for Worlds, always pumped to get in there. We'll do a more in-depth pre-Worlds show,
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff, and like we'll talk about the gauntlet, I'm sure, for the teams who didn't qualify.
And we,
So,
could,
yeah.
and we could also talk about like just like Worlds in general, like some fun moments and just like fun things that have happened over the years. We'll definitely do an episode about that. I guess the other thing I'll talk about for the tournament is I feel like the Kings looked way better than they've had like this entire split. Like we played against them a lot in scrims and we learned a ton from them. It was crazy.
I actually thought they were going to beat the Levi's just from scrims. Like, it's so hard to tell with scrims,
Yeah.
but I literally like I thought what you said exactly. They had a much clearer direction. I thought they'd play a lot better. I knew our set against them was going to be tougher than the set against the Levi's because like I just knew they had more, So.
Yeah, they definitely looked way better. It was good.
Yeah.
But speaking of sets, listen-ins has happened a lot like over the course of this last entire phase, right?
Yeah.
We've had. I really like listen-ins. I honestly, like, I didn't see the listen-ins today. I feel like there's been a couple where they've done it too long, but I know, okay, so me and Mike are both players, so I feel like we're going to be biased to more just having listen-ins in the fight. It's been a really hot topic, I feel like, for a lot of people like co-stream. I know Hazer has talked about listen-ins quite a bit, in that he wishes that they'd let them run more. But I'm not a fan of it personally. Like, I think the listen-ins they've done this year have been really good. I feel like the fact that they get in and then they get out if nothing happens, and I feel like the casters have really done a good job, like calling them out as well and like coming back into it.
Yeah.
Even if you get like,
it's definitely got better too as time has gone on. They've definitely like it's been getting better and better for sure.
Yeah, and even if the team says like one word and you like come out of the listening, like it's still something to talk about, even if it's very, very small. So
yeah,
I like that.
I mean, that's just something to talk about alone. Like if it's quiet, like that's a talking point,
Yeah, exactly. I love listen-ins more than anybody else. I think they're super cool, but like as a competitor, I do like that they leave the planning out for the listen-ins is how I look at it. I think the way they've done it has been so good.
Yeah, I actually have a lot on this. Funny enough, I'll like split it up, but okay. The first thing is a main beef that I have, especially like when people talk about it, like Hazer and his chatter or whatever.
Yeah.
Something I think that I really dislike about the conversation, I feel like this happens with a lot of things, is people make it it's like production against the players type of thing, or the players against production with like these listen-ins. And I think people are kind of trolling with that. Like, one, we couldn't do listen-ins when we were online. Mm-hmm. So like we've only had this like for a few years or for a few tournaments, but like for a lot of the history of Smite, there's been, I guess I don't want to say specifics, but like there's been one thing I think I could say is like there was a listen-in forever ago with like, I think it was Energy, where they like started to lag in game. And and one of them were like, oh, like we're lagging, like what the heck is this? And like it just sounds bad for them, so like they don't want to risk listening to that. Like the profanity thing kind of happens, but also
it does,
like, but I don't know if that's like the reason against it. Basically, point is like it hasn't been like every year they're like, oh, can we do this? And we're like, no, you better not. We're gonna quit. It's like it's not that simple. I just think it's kind of what you said. Like people kind of want to keep it to fights only. I've actually come around to it a little bit though. Like I'm not fully where. Oh yeah, do you remember there was a tournament? I think it was regionals of season 3. There was a separate stream up of all of the comms, including draft.
Yeah, I think it got taken down though, like after the first game. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it was either regionals or I think it was You're right, it was regionals.
Yeah, it was like the first set of regionals. Okay, it got taken down. Yeah. Because we weren't told beforehand, and obviously, like I don't think any player would want draft listens. That happens, like that doesn't happen anywhere. That doesn't happen in any game, anything. Period.
Yeah.
And I also think comparing listen-ins in a MOBA, like in like League, for example, like they don't give you listen-ins during the game.
They just do it for fights only in League.
Well, do they even do it during the game? They do it after, right?
Yeah, they do replays.
Yeah, they do replays. Like I think it's cool that we have listen-ins.
Yeah.
Like, and I think like people will compare it to like Halo or COD, but that's different because you're literally like you're calling like
there's no planning
constantly.
either.
Yeah, there's constant fighting. Like all your planning is pre-game.
Yeah.
So like their planning is what our draft is, but our draft also like we have draft and planning in.
Like we have to make adjustments inside the game.
Exactly. Yeah. So it is different. I think. Yeah, it's kind of troll because I just think I think it's been pretty good how it is. There was one time I think it was against you guys in the regular season. Like I thought maybe it went like a little bit too long and I would have preferred it to get cut off, but for the most part I think it's been good. Okay, there is one thing about the listen-ins too. It is cursed. It is absolutely cursed. Anytime they listen to a team, that team instantly loses the fight and loses the game off. It happened for us against the Kings. They listened in. This was in like a 5-minute stretch. I checked it after. They listened in to us.
Yep.
We killed one person and then reset the fight, so like nothing happened. And then we pull fire 5v4 and they listen into the Kings. We get fire, wipe them, and end the game. And they don't qualify for Worlds. And it just is the most depressing thing ever.
Oh my God. Yeah, I remember that.
Did you get the one Levi's Warriors game 5 though? That one was sick.
That was a good listen.
That was so fun.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was so cool.
That was like a perfect time to go in. Like those are always sick. And then the other thing I wanted to bring up about listen-ins too is that people always make the argument like, oh, everybody says the same things anyways. Like it doesn't matter if like you hear teams comms and whatnot. But like if it doesn't matter, then why do you want to hear it at all? Is how I look at it. Like if it doesn't matter, like it definitely matters if you want to listen to it.
I'm kind of like, okay, one thing I actually
okay, go ahead.
Well, one thing I actually do agree with Hazer with is I understand, well, it's kind of what I said earlier about like it hasn't always been up to us, but I also don't think it necessarily should always be up to us. Like this is a really extreme example, right? But imagine like before you join the SPL, so say you're a newer player, you're like Coast, Pagon, someone like that, right?
Yeah.
If they're already doing listen-ins, you're not going to come in and tell them like, yo, don't do listen-ins anymore. Like if the system is already in place and it's just what they do and everybody accepts it, or if they're just like, this is how we do it, like deal with it kind of, then like, yeah, we don't really have a say. But I just think what I always feel with SPL is if you want it to be entertaining and get the best product available, you kind of want competitive integrity intact.
Yes.
Which I think is the same reason why we don't go into game after 2 minutes. Because like competitively, like you'll get a better experience as a viewer if teams have 5-10 minutes between games and they talk about draft and they plan something out. Like I just think it leads to a better product, which I think ultimately is what everyone should want. Like you should just want the best games played available. And if people feel like they just can't talk because they're worried that there's going to be a listen-in and they're going to give stuff away, like that's not good either.
Yeah. I just like how I see it, like use with your point to counter it a little bit for that. Oh, shoot. I'm doing the thing where I lose my train of thought.
About
and
the players
I'm
not having a say?
What was I going to say about it? I griefed. I hate that this happens at least once an episode.
Oh, it's got to happen.
Oh, my God.
You just played a full best of 5 as well, so.
Okay, so like listen-ins, if they're listening in, okay, we'll come back. I'm gonna remember this. I can't remember right now. I've completely griefed.
It happens.
But I think that they are great. Okay, I remembered. How I look at it is there's so much information available now. Like when I came into Smite, like back in season, even when you came into Smite, like season 2 or whatever, when I started playing in like season 0, back in like 2012 closed beta, there was like no information out about the game. Yeah. And like you did stuff. And like when you did that, like I invaded every game in 2012. Like that's what I did. Like no one else did that. Like every game I played, I maybe saw like one person invade. Literally every game I would 5Q, we would invade every single time, guaranteed no matter what. Like that's how we played. Like that's how we played the early map. And it was so much fun because nobody knew what was going on in the other team. And we always got like a huge lead off it. And like, I feel like now if that happened, like people would stream it and then people would be like, oh, this looks cool. Let's try it. Like there's way more information out about the game now where like, I'm not trying to, it's not like gatekeeping, but it's just like, it makes it more fun. It's like Magic as well. Like a perfect example of this is like, Friday Night Magic was one of my favorite things that I did when I grew up. And Friday Night Magic is basically, Magic's a trading card game and you can play against other players. And Friday Night Magic is just any game store around the world has Friday Night Magic. You can go there and play other people. It's called F&M. And when I was younger, the internet, like people posted deck lists and stuff to like show their decks and stuff, and people would sometimes use them, but even then it wasn't like it's like meta now. Like if you go to F&M, like you need a good list. You could bring something off meta, but you have to be really good. Like when I was younger and I go in and I was completely trash, I bring my garbage deck in, play a couple games, and I have so much fun because I play against other garbage decks and it'd be a good time. And it's just because of like the lack of information. I think information is great and it makes things better, but it also makes things sometimes like more unfun. It's like really hard to say though, because it's like weird, like it's like a weird conversation, I feel like.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's why I think the topic is interesting, because the counterpoint to that would be like, well, if there is more information, like
it would evolve more.
Well, there's that, but I was just thinking like, I think Smite should be to the point professionally where like, let's say you're in a siege, for example, like most teams will siege like somewhat similarly. There's definitely a gap. There's definitely things that teams do better than other teams for sure.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, like, let's say a team is up like 2 Phoenixes and they have enhanced fire, like there's a pretty good chance they're going to end the game on that siege. Like, I think anything that team would do is probably not like revolutionary to other teams. Like, if you're talking about like it's a 25-minute fire, all the Phoenixes are up, maybe there's even a couple tier 2s up, and it's like pretty complicated, there's not that big of a league, then I think maybe that's like a little bit different, just because that's where there could be different information. I just think players have gotten so much better and there is a lot more information out. So I think like the level of what should be able to be listened to into, like, for example, I actually think I'd be fine with like early game fights and early game ganks and stuff personally. Like,
for sure.
I wouldn't have a problem with those at all. I just think the idea that people want like 4 minutes of late game, that's like the most dangerous part for us. Cause like, that's when there's a lot of talk about like how you want to start a fight, like who you're going on, what you want to do, how you're wording, like everything is just so important.
Like your plan, like you're talking about your plan that you have going into the game, and like you're gonna either make adjustments to the plan that you've thought you were gonna do at the start of the game, or you're just gonna be like, let's stick to the plan and do what we're supposed to this game and finish it out. Yeah,
it is tough because I definitely do see the entertainment value in long listen-ins. I do think people would get a lot more excitement from early to mid game stuff than they think they would, maybe. Like, I think the late game is really interesting, but I also think, like, for example, I watched like league finals like earlier this morning. And it's like the tension in late game moments kind of speaks for itself a little bit, because that's true. It doesn't happen often, and it's not production's fault at all. But there have been listen-ins where they go to it, and I'm like, I would have preferred to hear them cast this fight. Like, late game casting to me is really fun to listen to as a viewer, and you kind of lose that element of it as well. And I think that's like a part that I don't really hear people talk about, but maybe I'm the only one who likes the casting. But to me, at least, I do really like the like tension building, and then the casters get excited. It makes me excited as well. Yeah, it's hard. I like it. Like, I really like how they've done it this year. I will say I feel like they've done a good job, and like you said, they've gotten better. It's just a hard topic to talk about. And again, I guess I want to say this too, after saying some of the things, like, I don't think any team is like so much better or whatever just because of their comms or whatever. Like, you won't, but there are a couple things that I feel like if you were to get to listen to planning, like you would pick up some things, and like it become like the meta, like there'd be like a comm meta on top of like the playing meta as well. So I do want to bring up something about this I forgot until you said that, actually. Do you have an opinion on like the point of view streams? Like, do you think there shouldn't be point of view streams? I think they're fine, actually. I think they're fine too, and I think they're sorry, I didn't mean to bump the table. I think they're different as well, because players have an amount of control over the actual games. Like, for example, on Twitch, you can make it so that your VODs don't automatically publish. Yeah. And that they don't publish like live. Like, for example, like some VOD, like if you were to go to Smite game and you're watching a set while it's happening, you could go click it and look back in the VOD, but that's a Twitch setting. Like, you can change that. So if you're a player and you don't want people to be able to go through your VOD, or watch it or whatever, that'll never be a problem with like competitive integrity in the middle of a set. Whereas like a listen-in kind of isn't up to you as much. So like, that's why I think it's different. I think demos are kind of different too, because like, you've always been able to go into spectator, like after a scrim, for example, I can go into spectator and go see stuff. Yeah. But that's like, I can see the top down, but seeing the top down is really different than I'm literally in your guys' comms and I get to hear what you're saying. Yeah, it's so much different. And then Leah also said we can't hear listen-ins from POV streams. That's my only complaint. That would be cool if they added that. I don't know how that works though on production's end, but that'd be a cool addition. I didn't even know that was true. Yeah. Yeah, because I've noticed that as well when I've watched the POV streams. Yeah, because what I like to do is normally if I'm watching a set, I just like to throw up like the players who are in my role. That's what I do during the set too. And I just think it's interesting. Like, I just have the mainstream's audio. And then I just have it up on the side. Or like when Scream played Surtur Jungle, like I watched every one of his Surtur Jungle POVs. Dude, it was so much fun to watch. I just wanted to see how many stacks he got. Cherry and I were watching your guys' set today. And Cherry and I are just both big Erlang fans. So the second sign I picked a game for, like, we gotta watch this guy. So we had both open. It was so fun, actually. That's cool. Yeah, okay, I had another thing off of the gatekeeping idea, by the way.
Yeah.
The gatekeeping is really weird as well because, like, that's the part I don't know how to approach the argument unbiased, because gatekeeping is obviously advantageous if you think that you have something that you don't want to give up.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like comms in the early game.
I mean, if you listen, okay, for me, it's like I talked about this in an interview that I remember recently, but like when I play with Cyclone in the early game, we don't really calm that much stuff. Like, it's weird. Like, if they listened in and we fought, you'd be like, what the heck? Why didn't they say anything? Like, but when I played with Stu, I calmed almost everything that I was doing because I was not used to playing with him, for example. Like, it was just like that was like the hardest learning curve for me when I played with someone new that wasn't Cyclone, because we were kind of used to how each other played. And if what happens with us is we'll talk about, like, if this happens, we'll do this, or if this happens, we'll do that. And then if it happens, we don't really comment. We do it because we talked about it, like, going into like either the laning phase or like if we come back from a base and we're never really talking about it in the game. And I feel like it takes a lot of practice to be able to do that. And that was like the hardest thing for me playing with someone different when I played with Stu last year, that I had to get used to, is I had to call a lot of small things that I wouldn't normally call. But it was good that I called him, because then Stu would be doing what I wanted him to do. Like, it was harder to get us on the same page.
What about, like, okay, here would be maybe a better example of what I was trying to articulate with the gatekeeping thing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to a firefight as it's breaking out, as they have, I don't think any player has a problem with that.
Yeah.
Right? With those listeners, I don't think anyone has a problem with it. If you were to do let's say it's an early game gank, like, it's really, like, they're going to commit. I don't know if I could put a scenario off the top of my head or something, but like, just let's say there's just an early game fight, there's going to be a fight. Maybe they don't have beads and you're about to get Blink Ares altered or something, like, and you just go in that moment. Like, I don't think stuff like that would be bad.
I don't think so either.
What would you do about something like Beacon is, like, still, it's not like super new, but it is new this year.
I think if it was a fight on Beacon, I think it's fine.
Yeah, but what if they tuned in at 12 minutes and Beacon is getting stalled and it doesn't break out into an all-in fight? Do you cut instantly?
I think it depends on how many people are there. If it's the whole team there, I would maybe let it roll. But if it's only like a couple people, then I'd probably cut it. Is how I look at it.
Planning on, like, split in or something like that.
Yeah, because if there's a lot of people, if there's like 4 or 5 people there from each team, a fight is bound to happen on it, or one team will just say give it up and that's it.
Well, that's the thing though. Like, to play devil's advocate, right? Like, let's say my teammates we're all 5 on Beacon, and you guys are 3 people in mid, and then 2 people, like, half rotated and then decide to leave, and you call split. Like, what's like for us? Like, I'm instantly thinking, like, oh, they're giving this up. They're happy to, like, farm or, like, look for another fighter.
Yeah, that is true. You get information on that.
Well, I was just going to say, like, I can press tab and be like, oh, maybe they're waiting for this spike. Like, if you're, like, let's say Cyclone is close. He has, like, tier 2 Failnaught. I can be like, oh, like, he's just waiting for Failnaught. Like, that makes sense. Like, they're going to fight when he has that, something like that. Like, I could already infer that. Do you think it would be that damaging if I hear you guys go, like, I have my item 300 gold, wait for that? Because I feel like that wouldn't be too bad.
I don't think it'd be that bad.
It maybe just depends on the teams.
Yeah.
But I think, like,
I don't think it'd be that bad.
Yeah, I just...
It's hard, though.
Exactly, that's the problem.
For me, like, as a player, like, I'm going to always be biased, and I will fully admit it. Like, it's just hard. But I think it's okay. It's hard, though.
Yeah, I think for Worlds, honestly, I think if they're able to, I don't know if there's limitations because of a different venue or anything. Yeah. But if they're able to for Worlds, I definitely am. I'm down for it, as long as when I'm on stage and they go to listen, I do not hear the other team's comms.
That would be so bad.
As long as that can't happen, and I'm sure if they did that, like, we normally do audio checks the day before, like, the first set and stuff. Yeah. So as long as that didn't happen, I'd have no problems.
The other thing too with that, like, going off that, I like the video they did. I think it was season 8 Worlds, where they gave a lot of comms. Like, if it's after the fact, it's completely different in my opinion as well. Like, if it's like after the season's over, I don't care as well.
Okay.
Like the season, like when they did the like, because they gave a lot of listen for that, and if they do that, I'm completely fine with
They
that.
did that for like draft and stuff too, and I think like after the season, like draft is
it's like whatever, Like if people want to learn from stuff, I just think during the season it's just it's kind of lame for the players. Like even if it's like a whole like even if it doesn't matter like in the end or whatever. I don't mind if it's just after the season's over, if they want to release like a content piece like that with like a very in-depth listenings and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know how long you want to go on tangents with this, but I'm also kind of curious. Someone in chat said they like Hazer's thoughts on it. I don't mind like bouncing back and forth with chat on it, but I actually don't know all of his opinions exactly. I've only seen one clip someone sent to me, and it was basically along the lines of like, if the players don't like it, who cares? What are they gonna do? Go play League? And obviously he's being dramatic, but his point is like it shouldn't be up to them. Is basically what he's saying.
Yeah, that's fair. And I just remember I was in his stream watching one of the sets, and I think it was Herwin who was arguing with him, and I feel like even though they both they both fully disagreed with each other, like neither of them were happy with any of their they like completely like I feel like they both made good points on both sides of the argument for it as well.
So when I listened to Hazer on that argument, I actually kind of agreed with a lot of the stuff he was saying. I don't know. It's just hard in general. I just think you're gonna get listened. Like obviously it's cool. The more you get in depth and the more you get to hear, like obviously it's cool, but I don't know, like where's the line? Like should players, like the example I've always given is like in COD and Halo, there will be teams who literally stream scrims.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason they're streaming scrims, you could partly say it's because of money, but the scrims get streamed even for the players who aren't streaming. You know, like if you don't have a big stream, you're not making money off of it, right? Yeah. So in my opinion, the reason they can do that is because they're kind of just playing the game and they can do all the planning and all the reviewing after. Like
that's the nice part for them for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, should we stream scrims would be like, it's kind of like it's a different thing, but it's not, because my point is that if we streamed scrims and you got to see all the stuff we were playing and then you saw the same stuff in the SPL, do you think it would actually would people be more likely to watch the SPL? If you got to see everyone's scrims, would you be more likely to then watch the SPL?
That's up to chat.
I would say no, personally.
I would say no as well, because it would just be the same thing is how I look at it. Like, why would I tune into the SPL broadcast if I could just watch their scrims every single day? Like, it's just going to get boring as well, like halfway through the year. It might be cool for like the first month of it, maybe. And they're like, oh, they're just playing the same comp again.
Obviously this is a very far off comparison. The point I have is basically that the gatekeeping isn't so one-sided to us as people think it is. Like the gatekeeping I think also is what makes teams unique, and
it gives teams identities.
Yes, it gives you identity and it makes you unique, and it's part of like the mystery or the I don't know what the word I'm looking for, not the anxiousness or intensity. It's like the tension building throughout a game. Like if you already have in your own, let's say I'm watching one of your guys' set, okay, and I'm thinking oh, they're pretty good at doing this in the late game or something. I'm more likely to be looking out for that, and it's more unique and it's more interesting to see it unfold. Whereas if I hear it from you guys and then it happens, and I know it's coming, if I heard a listen and I heard you guys playing a fight and then the fight happens, I don't think I'm then more interested in the fight. I don't know how to word it. Seeing the fight in the moment for the first time and being holy crap, that plan was crazy, or that fight was crazy, is better in my opinion than hearing I'm gonna do this and then you do it and then it works. Because I feel I don't know, that maybe that's just me. I don't know.
Yeah. The other thing too is I do stream, I streamed Iced a couple times, and I'll try as hard as I possibly can when I play in those tournaments, and I think it's fun. I feel that's a pretty happy medium for because those are scrims when I stream them, those are identical to scrims for sure. Maybe I'm not playing certain picks or whatever, or doing certain things every single game. Usually I'll go into those tournaments and be I want to practice a couple of these gods during it, and I'm practice a couple of them and see if I like them or not, is how I usually treat them.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I do in scrims as well. So it just depends like on the scrim block. So it's cool. But yeah, the other thing too is like you would hate. Ice Dizzy said, I personally would hate to see pocket pick spoiled from watching practice. Like the Ares Deathwalker solo, like that would have been spoiled. Like that was one of the coolest moments for like a pick. I feel like
exactly.
Like that would get ruined, and like I'm trying to think of like another legendary pick.
I was trying to think of a play that I was trying to find the example of what I was talking about where listening could have potentially made the viewing experience worse. You remember the rival like Ares Janus combo?
Yeah.
If you heard them planning that, I don't think that's as cool.
Yeah, because then you'd be like, oh, they did it.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
It's not as cool as seeing the play where Kalis blinks in and pulls 2 or 3 people through a portal.
Sick.
Yeah, and then they get one shot. Like that's so sick. You see it in the moment and you're like, holy crap, that was crazy.
Like a team like Rival, for instance, would probably hate, like if we went back like to that Rival iteration, like they had so many cool ideas, so many cool planning things, so many cool pocket picks and stuff. Like if they had listen-ins and stuff like that, and even like watching scrims like live, like their team would not be as fun to watch. Like because if you talk to a lot of people, I feel like that team probably will go down as one of the most fun Smite teams like in general, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So it would ruin a lot of their plays and a lot of their picks, and I think it would hurt them for sure.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing with identity. Like it just the team identity, like team identities will come together, and there will be like there won't be a lot of differences basically if they do that
over time.
Yes.
Yeah, over time. That is what would generally happen. I know another topic we wanted to touch on was scrims, specifically scrims going into tournaments. It's kind of funny you said the gatekeeping thing. It reminded me of it as well. I guess I'll let you kick it off, but I got some stuff for it too.
Yeah, so over my 10 years of Smite, I've had some interesting things happen to me with scrims. I guess we'll start like with this most recent week. Like we scheduled scrims against the Warriors, and they said they didn't want to scrim us because they wanted first, so that's why they canceled us. Like they canceled on us the day of like two scrims. Like they canceled on us on Wednesday and Thursday, which is fine in my opinion. Like if they, like for me, like I respect that a lot. Like if that's what they want to do, if that's how they want to get their edge up, sure, do it, cool. I just like there's a couple things that bother me how they did it. Like I guess I don't know if I should bring it up on here. I probably won't, but I just don't like how they did it. And regardless of what they say, if we weren't trying in scrims or whatever, they did cancel on us like an hour before the block 2 days in a row, and it is kind of lame no matter how you look at it. Like even if like just don't book scrims with us in general if you're gonna do that, is how I look at it. But if they're doing it for like competitive reasons, that's fine. But yeah, I don't know, I just didn't like that.
I mean, people definitely intentionally think about who they're scrimming going into a tournament.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It's a tough topic to.
Also, I'm not inside their team, so I have no idea like what they actually think. That's the other thing too. So I there isn't really much for me to say about it. I respect it personally, but like I just think it's lame the way they did it, and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like I can touch on your guys' situation because, like you said, like I'm not in their team or your guys' team. So
exactly.
I don't really know. I do think it's interesting though going into tournaments. I don't know if you've had it this way, but the scrims always get a little wonky. Like generally in the regular season, teams tend to scrim everyone for the most part. Like, of course, there will always be the dynamic of like maybe the top couple teams don't want to scrim the bottom couple teams if they feel like they're worse practice. Like that just happens naturally.
Just happens naturally. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I have another thought on this, but yeah, I feel like the going into the tournament stuff is so hard, especially a situation like that, because if you're the Warriors and you feel like you basically have one set, if you're them, right? You're the Levi's, and you basically feel like, okay, well, if we beat the Levi's and we're playing these guys in the finals, guaranteed, is basically how they feel like in their head. Which like the thing I think is stupid about it is it does not always work that way.
It does not
ever. Like it doesn't work that way all the time ever.
It's hard,
especially when there's a bigger gap. Like you could maybe make an educated guess. Like tournaments like this where they're 2 weeks apart, pretty much the same like general meta, not like huge patches or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you could make that guess, but like, you know, between like now and Worlds, you could try to like guess who you think is better, but people are hard trolling if they think they've ever predicted every set at Worlds as an opposing player. Like maybe fans have done it if you like fill out a bracket and you're like kind of having fun or guessing upsets. I doubt there's ever been a player that guessed every set perfectly.
Even if you do predict every set, like the sets are not going to go the way you think as well.
For sure.
Like, I don't know. It's hard. Like it's never going to be the same.
Well, in the tournament, like metas will kind of develop where you'll see people will like maybe a pick that was like getting first picked in scrims, maybe suddenly people like do a couple things and now it's a 10th pick. Like that alone, like the difference between a first pick, first ban slot and a 10th pick slot is so big. And it's not all, it's just so big.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I've had so many experience. I don't know why it always happens to teams I'm on. It's annoying.
What, the
like
canceling
like the scrims, like just bad scrims. Like another one, like I guess like back in season 4 when I was on Trifecta, there was 5 teams for some reason in NA that qualified for regionals. It was United, LG, Noble, Trifecta, and SOAR, I think, were the 5 teams. And you and LG were scrim partners, and that's what you guys did. So it was
we played you guys first round as well, I think.
Yeah, that as well. And like you guys scrim partnered the entire year anyways. And like
not the entire year, just a split.
Whatever, for split. Yeah. And like we were scrimming Noble and SOAR, and then SOAR asked us, yo, can we scrim partner? And I told him, like, I told my team, I don't want to. I feel like it's lame if we scrim partner because then the other team's just gonna get screwed over. Because it happened to me before that as well.
Tried to do it too.
Yeah, and like that's what happened to me. But that it happened to me in season 3 as well. Like when I was on Eager too, and I'm like, I want to scrim everybody. I think it's just better if we like, because the thing is too, when you're scrimming only one team, metas of like end up happening, and then you're like, wait, this is actually not good. Like you're just countering what they're they're countering what you're doing, and then they're countering the counter, and then they're countering the counter, and you're actually not even playing the game. Like you're not doing what you're doing. You're just trying to counter what they're picking, basically.
Yeah, you like are playing the game, but you're not. Like it's just different. I think it's interesting. Like I used to be on. It's funny you brought that up because there was a. I don't know if you saw this. I don't know if it was G2's manager or what it was. Did you see this on Twitter? They released their scrim schedule for League.
And they said that like the results, you mean, or no?
They released every single scrim block, the results throughout the whole year, like spring final, like everything.
I didn't see that actually. That's crazy.
Yeah, they released it. All they did was they showed you who they played, what the result was, and that was it. And they included their real games. And it was interesting because in those scrims, you kind of get a good idea. Like it's very, very similar to how we do it. You know, they have like their blocks would go anywhere from 3 games up to like I think the most they had in there was like 7 if it's like a longer scrim day before a tournament or something like that. So it was like either 3 games up to 7 was their scrim block. They scrimmed every single team, but if you look at it, like G2 was pretty much the best team in Europe the whole year, and you would start seeing a lot of the same teams, like a lot of the top teams. You would see like it'd be 2 top teams and maybe like a bottom team, then like 2 top teams and a bottom. Like it all develops the same way. And I think it's interesting because I don't know if there's been examples in League that I've had scrim partners. I used to be of the opinion that it was kind of the gatekeeping discussion as well, where it's like, if I like the Unite LG one, because you use that as an example, I'll talk about that. Like, I think we've told the story before. We scrimmed you guys early in the split.
Yeah, and you babied on.
Yeah. And you guys basically canceled the block early, and we were like, whatever, like that kind of sucks. And then we like apologized. We're like, sorry, weren't trying to like be, you know, asses or anything. We were just like having fun. And then I think it was Kiki or Hurry, one of them, and said like, it's cool, but we probably won't scrim you guys for a while. We play each other in like 2 weeks. And we're like, okay, like that's fair. Like if you're annoyed at us, and like also we play each other soon, that makes sense. And then it got to the point where after those 2 weeks, I think everybody had played like 3 or 4 sets, and then like by the standings and our schedule, we just kind of knew like, okay, LG is not going to be on the same side of the bracket as us. Yeah. And if we want to like make Worlds in the top, because back then you had to be top 2, I think, in the region. You had to make finals to just qualify to Worlds and not have to deal with the gauntlet, which is like best of ones are always sketchy in my opinion. Like I feel like you never want to just bet on best of ones if you can avoid it. So it was actually like a pretty big deal back then. So to us, it made sense to just scrim partner.
Yeah.
But it does kind of backfire. Like, it honestly was advantageous for us that our region ended up having just us and LG at Worlds, and then Europe had, I think, 4 teams, because we got so locked in our own meta that you literally could not beat us at our own game, which is good. And it's good and bad. If you're forced to play our game, you're screwed. But then if we don't know how to adapt, we're screwed.
Yeah, it's
but we had no
double-edged
choice.
sword. Yeah.
Yeah, but unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, we had no choice going into
It was probably better just like having that split of 2 and 4, just because there was enough teams in both regions for people to scrim. Like, another thing I will say about like scrim partnering, like, I think if you want to scrim one team more than the other, I'm completely fine with that. And like, if you want to gatekeep as well, like if you have something over a team that you think is good and you want to save, just don't play it against the other team that you scrim against.
Yeah,
like,
well, that's the problem with that, because we've talked about this with like our splice scrims, right? Like, before you guys won Worlds is what I mean by our splice scrims, like before season 5, because they were doing a different start and they didn't want to show it because we don't want it, like, you guys didn't want it to spread to the Gauntlet LAN, for example, because then people don't get time to think about it when you're trying to save it for Worlds. So that type of stuff is difficult, because you get to the point where you're like, okay, well, why are we even scrimming? Like, if we're not playing the stuff that we want to get better at and improve on, why even play?
It just depends on how you, it's really hard. But I think like just trying different things is always good. It's hard with this start. I feel like it's different though. Like if it's just like a pick, I'm saying, like,
for sure,
if you don't want to play this pick, like, and to be fair, like, you go into scrim someday, you're like, I played this a bunch the other day, I'm probably not going to play that this much today because I want to get practice on this pick. It's not even gatekeeping. It's like, you played this pick a lot, I don't want to play it that much against this team or whatever.
It's also kind of funny, like,
if it's a start, it's completely different. I feel like
it also does depend. Like, our set today, for example, I literally played, I mean, I don't think it matters now because we have 2 months until Worlds, but like, I literally played 3 gods I didn't scrim with. Like, all 3 games played a character I didn't scrim with. There's like, you get other stuff too. Like, scrims are such a weird discussion because, like, we talked about the Kings, they were doing well. I think our scrim record going into this tournament was literally 20-3. We lost 3 games. That's
crazy. We lost a lot of scrims.
The second that happened, I knew we were doomed. I'm like, we are screwed. Because when you're winning scrims like that too, it's kind of what you said. Like, you want to get a good idea of what everyone's doing and like what you're struggling against and stuff. And when you feel like you don't get that, it really sucks. That's why I learned to hate scrim partnering, because I just think like scrim partnering sucks, because when you're the team, if you're the team who figures the other one out earlier, it doesn't even mean you're better, but it just means for what they're doing. If you're not playing them, it doesn't even matter. But for what they're doing, you know how to deal with it. And now you're just basically owning them over and over until they figure it out. And you're getting, in my opinion, you're getting worse practice than they are, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because they're problem solving and you're stomping. It's like, it's just not a spot you want to be in. I think that is something where I was pretty defensive about the scrim partnering forever, and I think it was because I was biased, because my first SPL team, like, how did they, okay, I actually never asked you this. How did they get to that point? Because you were on the team when they were doing it.
Yeah, I remember that someone just had I told them I never liked it. Like, that was another thing I didn't like when I was on that team, is that we scrim partnered with, was it AFK or Melee or whatever they were called? Yeah.
It was AFK.
Yeah. Like, we before you joined the team, I was on the team with them and we scrim partner against them, and I'm like, I would like to scrim against more than one team, but like, they're like, this is how it's done, this is what we've always done. And
that's interesting.
And like, that's how it was in season 1 as well, because we never really got scrims like when I was on Fat Chunks against
Cog Red, Cog Prime.
Yeah.
And then it was
Dignitas and AFK. And then we scrim Randozos. And so like, it was like, I feel like it was just
what
bad.
What did you guys do when you played each other? You just didn't scrim? Or that's when the scrim partner would break?
We would, yeah, maybe we'd scrim another team, like because then they'd probably play each other that week as well, or something. Yeah. I don't know. All I know is that we mainly scrimmed like Thirst and like Randozos or Rambo. There was also other like SCC teams or whatever it was called at the time that we played sometimes as well. I remember like back in season 1.
Yeah.
But we never scrimmed like against Dig, AFK, or any of the cogs, like, ever. Like, they were just completely scrim partnered, and I hated that so much. And I remember I joined their team because I finally joined like Dig or whatever. I forget, or Eager. It was Eager. Yeah, I joined Eager, and like, I'm like, I hated the scrim partner thing because I was on the lower, like, the team that wasn't involved in that. I'm like, I think we should scrim everybody. I think it would give us a better option. Like, no, we're doing it this way. I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't have control.
I think, go ahead.
I control. I eat it. I think it's so bad to hide stuff in a team and scrim them. Anyways, I think it's bad to hide starts and things like that. Like certain pocket picks, like solo Ares. Like I think that's fine to not play. Like that's like a perfect example. Like if you want to whip solo Ares out, like it's not a meta pick that everybody's playing. Like it's probably better if the person doesn't have a lot of practice on it. Like Ixchel, for instance, that Sot whipped out at this tournament. I feel like a lot of people weren't playing that, and he piloted it like very well.
I also think it's not as hard as people think it is. Like, okay, for example, the way I play, like the picks that, okay, because I did this for every single set we played this weekend. I have like, normally when I do prep, I do like a spreadsheet, and I'll just put people's god pools down. Okay, just like very simple, quick thing. I put people's god pools down, and then I go through, like, I look at it and I just think about like potential matchups. Like, I want to pick this into that, or like, oh, maybe I should be careful picking this if they pick this. That obviously changes on different teams, right? Like,
exactly.
You play things differently than I do, differently than Genetics does, differently than Rangu, whatever, whoever, right? So all these players, like the way I draft against Quig is going to be different than the way I draft against you, like when it comes to my pick or my team's pick. So if I want to practice, like let's say against you, I wanted to play Neath support or something, right? If I'm looking to do that into a certain pick, I'm not even going to get that opportunity against a player who doesn't play your god pool, because it doesn't even matter. So like, I don't ever have to show you that if I don't want to. I can just show it to other people that I'm never going to pick it against because they don't play what I'm looking for. Like, if you want to practice the god mechanically, you can still do it. Or if you want to practice, like if I'm against you and I want to practice a counter pick, I'm just simply not going to do it. If I really want to hide it, if I really think it's that big of a deal, I don't think it's that complicated.
Yeah, I think for picks, it's completely different if you're holding pocket picks in scrims. Like you're not going to pick a pocket pick in a scrim at every game anyways.
What about like map play? Like early game starts are different because like you can do like, people call them cheese ganks, but it's stupid. Like people can do ganks off of a certain start, right? Yeah. This happens everywhere. Every season of Smite, every MOBA, everything. Is that different than, let's say at level 3 you do a different rotation, level 5 like you split push late game, you know?
If you have something like that, I think it's fine to like hide it as well. Like that's a thing that I think, but like it's different if it warps the game and that's the new start. That's when I think it's different. Like a lot of these like cheese ganks or whatever you want to call them, or invades, like the thing Final Kid did and it didn't do well like the other day against the Warriors or whatever. Like those things are like one-off games. Like that's not gonna become the new meta when you do it. Yeah. Like when it's something that you know that is gonna become like the new start every game, people are gonna be doing this every game, then I think that's when it's bad to hide it. But if you have like a cool like invade strat or like a cool like gank early game that that requires setup,
bad to hide it when you think it will become the meta.
Yes.
Why?
Just because it's gonna, unless you know for a fact that it's for like, I guess like for Worlds, then it would be good. But like if you're gonna hide it for like 2 weeks in SPL and like you whip it out one game and then like you whip like, because I remember back in season, this is another thing too with information. Like back in season 3, this is a perfect example of information. Like this would never happen now ever. Like if like the Eager team at remember we had the group stage lands. Mm-hmm. We invaded at that LAN. Yeah. And everybody's just like, oh, that's just bad. Like, that's bad. Like, they're trolling. Like, if that happened now, everybody like, oh, whoa, a new start. We should try that at least. Like, that, like, people stubborn.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it was just like, people were just like, oh, that's bad. Like, nowadays, like, information, you're like, ooh, new thing. I'm trying this. Like, that's just how people are now, which is really good. But, like, that's like a perfect example of that I was talking about earlier.
You know, it's kind of funny. I think we've talked about before. Like, I thought about it last year in hindsight, where I was like, should I not have invaded last year? Because like, would it have looked different? Like, would anyone else? Like, I'm not trying to take all the credit. Like, I started, but like, would anyone else have done everything the same way I did if I didn't do it? Like, not saying you started, but like, it like evolves. You know,
that's the other thing too. Like, if you find something really good like that as well, there's a risk that someone might just do it.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it's in the game, so they can do it.
Right,
Like
yeah,
that's
other
the
people
other.
aren't stupid. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the whole thing. How I look at it, like if you know for a fact that they're not going to figure this out, and you can actually do it. We got lucky. Like season 5, like the splice thing. I like the invade thing. We thought of it week 2 SPL, like where Divios came over, and that's how we were going to start.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
there were
Like-
plenty of games. Do you remember? It happened that season too because people played Kakalin.
And did
People
red
would
buff.
start red,
Yeah.
and then TP over. So it wasn't that new. Like there was a chance people thought about it. for
Yeah.
example.
Exactly. And like I was thinking like he come over and then TP and we just get complete pressure and do it. Like we talked about the strategy and we're like, we're just winning right now. Like I think our like first 2-3 weeks were going really well. We're like basically we said as a team, like, let's just keep doing what we're doing. Why change it right now? But I'm like, because I remember we were talking about, I'm like, this could actually become the new start if it's good.
If it's as good as you
Yeah.
think it could be. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, we'll just wait and see because we're winning. Why might as well not change it right now?
Well, that's
So-
a tough thing too,
yeah.
though, because like, sorry, you can go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, it just like it reminded me of last year because you also get into this weird dynamic, and this goes in with it's like not really with the listen-ins as much, but like the point I'm trying to make is when we were invading last year, I talked to my team about it because we were in the same spot. We were like, we're probably going to be second or third or whatever in the regular season. These are the teams we're probably going to play in the tournament. We know our matchups. Like, should I do it against some teams? Should I only do it against the teams I don't think we're going to play? Should I do it like not at all? Should I hide it completely? I ended up coming to the conclusion, it was kind of like you said, of like, I kind of need to know how people are going to adjust to this. Like, if I think it's good, it's not only like if it's risky for me, I need to know my own limits for it as well and stuff like that.
That's the other hard thing too.
Yeah. And I think stuff like scrim, stuff like listening, stuff that's tough is like, there's just going to be times where people try something, and if you pick up on what they're trying, it's like, it's actually so monumental, like how much of a competitive like adjustment that is, I guess, for the teams. Like,
Yeah.
it's really tough.
It's always interesting too. I feel like that's what makes it fun though. Like
Of
as a
course.
player, like when things like happen like that are really cool, you're like, oh dang, this is sick. Like this is really cool.
I'm still kind of shocked that it was just always a scrim partner meta. I mean, it makes sense. Like,
yeah.
I never question it. Like when I came into the league, because like they were just like, yeah, this is like what we're doing. I'm like, what am I gonna do as a rookie? I'm gonna say,
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I didn't think
that,
of
that
it.
was the same thing. I told him I didn't like it because I was on like the lower teams, like season 1, like in SPL, because I qualified through SPL through the like playing bracket because the 2 bottom teams for season 1 SPL played in a bracket, and if you won it, you qualified for SPL, and that's how it was. And like we came in, I'm like, yo, scrims, can we get scrims? They're like, no, we're scrim partners. Like that's just how it was. Because there's only 4 teams as well at the start, and I think COG Prime and COG Red, even before they were COG Prime and Red, were friends with each other, and I think they only wanted to scrim each other. And then Dig and Envy or AFK or whatever they were called, Snipe, I think they were called, then we're like, yeah, we'll just scrim them, not the other teams. So I don't know. That's just how it was, and I just never liked that at all.
Yeah, I wonder if like it's so weird to look at this stuff in hindsight. Like, I wonder if it played a role in like the differences between EU and NA at a time, and I don't know if it did or not. Like Europe, for example,
They
like,
scrimmed each other, is what I heard in Europe.
yeah, I think they
Yeah.
all scrimmed each other, and there was definitely a stretch where Europe was just winning every tournament. Like, I mean, to be fair, it was, you could say that, but it was also mostly energy was just beating
Yeah.
everybody. But yeah, like I wonder how much
I wonder how Energy scrimmed. I actually never.
they scrimmed everybody except for, I believe there was in season 2. I think they said they scrimmed Fnatic a lot. And then I think before season 3 Worlds, they could only scrim Obey because it was this opposite of us. Like,
yeah,
when we could only scrim LG for season 4 Worlds, they could only scrim Obey because they were.
because that's when EU sucks, right?
Yeah, exactly. There you go. And then they won.
Yeah,
The 2 teams in the finals, by the way. Yeah, unlucky.
that's funny.
Yeah,
Oh, that's sad, dude. That just reminded me of the Obey
I'm
set.
sorry.
Oh, that was so close.
Dude, I do really love thinking about like I've been really watching a lot of league stuff lately just because of Worlds, and
Yeah,
you know what? Something else I was kind of interested in is I was watching Cadril, I think, and I never really watched Cadril until the past couple weeks. I didn't really like pay attention
his
to league
streams
streams that much.
been really good. I feel like.
Yeah, he's been going off. He had a couple videos that were like he was doing like pick spans analysis, and you can like it's always fun to watch players because like they have a pretty good idea of like metas or how teams think, so like they can predict picks and people are like, wow, like how did they know? It's stuff like that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But it was interesting. I watched that video not for the picks or not for the meta or whatever. I literally just wanted to see if League did it differently than we did at all. And it was kind of funny. Like they came to the same conclusions. Like everything he did, I didn't know any of the champs. I don't understand any of the matchups. I couldn't tell you why. I couldn't tell you why people pick Azir into Orianna. I have no idea. Couldn't tell you a single thing about the game.
Yeah.
But I understand everything he's talking about with prep and draft so well, where he's like, oh, like when you're on second pick side or red side for them, they're like, oh, you might like want a 2 for 1 pick. And so there's meta bans and there's there's throwaway bans. And then there's like force bans where it's like, if I'm banning this so that you have to ban this, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was so funny. It was just cool to me to watch that.
It is really
everything
cool.
was the same. It was the same. I loved it. I think there was one night, it was before your guys' set, actually. I did prep against the Ravens, which we did like throughout the week because we were playing them first. So,
yeah.
like, it evolved as we were doing. And then I think I spent like, I don't even know how long, maybe 3 or 4 hours or something. I did prep for you guys. And then I watched him do prep for like 2 hours. So I did like 6 hours.
You're just prepping?
I did 6 hours of picks and bans in one night. I was pumped.
You were prep McBrett, dude, that night.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I did watch T1 Weibo. It was so fun. I mean, I
watched
T1
game 1. I literally fell asleep, dude. I literally said,
yeah.
I remember I was talking to Paul. Paul's like, when is this thing gonna start? I want to watch it. I'm like, he's like, is this timer a bait? I'm like, yeah, it's a bait because they do the opening ceremony. He's like, come on, dude. I want to watch the game. And I'm like, I'm gonna watch the opening ceremony and then I'm gonna watch as much as I can while I fall asleep. And I only watched like the first game and I fell asleep. Yeah. I watched the whole first game and like in between like the game 1 to game 2, I fell asleep. But I went back and looked at it like when I woke up this morning.
Yeah, I did tweet a little bit about it and I was like kind of trolling because I know absolutely nothing about what I'm talking about at all. So I was just having fun with it for myself.
Yeah.
But I did think it was kind of interesting, like based off of what I had heard, like Cadril on the casters, and I listened to some other like podcasts and stuff.
Yeah.
What they said, just because my brain, I feel like I can understand what they're saying with picks and bans. I did kind of feel like it was over after game 1 a little bit. Cause like, it's so tough. Like when you're a team going into a set with momentum and then the other team, I think you talked about this with like last year's Worlds. You gave an example, like the difference between losing and winning a game when people are very clearly trying to see if you have an answer to something, that sets the tone for the whole set.
100%.
It's such a big deal. So like when T1 like did what they did to Weibo game 1, like I guarantee if you're Weibo and you're like, oh, their bot lane always they always flex a character in bot and then they counterpick bottom 2, or they just bottom 2 completely and they counterpick you bot. When you're planning for that all week and then they literally top 2 blind pick something to see if you can punish it.
Pick Renata, right?
They literally picked it was Renata no, not Caitlyn, it was Renata Callista.
Yeah.
They picked Renata Callista and they're like, let's see if you can do anything to it, and you couldn't.
Dude, it's crazy too.
And then they're screwed.
Sorry to interrupt you, but Keria missed every ult until the end of the game, and they still were just crushing them.
Yes, Keria.
That's how good their draft was. Like they were so outdrafted. Like they played so bad and they still won. Like that's crazy.
Faker too had a really like mechanically rough game 1. Like they both him and Keria just missed everything. And they're gonna warm up or snap out of that eventually. Like everyone doesn't have a bad game every game.
Zeus went crazy though for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was the other thing too. Like the Shy is like the win con for Weibo.
Yep.
And then
he just got stonewalled.
Yes, and he gets neutralized, and your bot lane is losing, and you're drafting on the side where your bot lane is at a disadvantage. Like that's actually it's set over literally instantly game 1. Not even kidding. It's such a big deal draft wise. So little sad watching it, but it was still fun.
Yep. Game 1 was, I thought like they got that first blood on Faker. I'm like, dang, this is gonna be a crazy game.
I thought so too, yeah.
And then it just wasn't.
Yeah. Wait, no, actually I'm thinking of a different game actually, because I missed. Okay, my sleep schedule got so owned because on the Ravens set, I had like decent sleep. I got like 7 hours, like nothing crazy, but that's like enough for me.
Yeah.
And then I had a coffee, and then after we lost game 3, or maybe after game 2, it was one of the two, middle of the set, I took a Monster and I drank a little bit of it. The caffeine owned me. I got like decent sleep against you guys, maybe like 5 or 6 hours. Definitely not great. And then against the Kings, I tried to go to bed at midnight, and a cat made a noise, woke me up at 4 a.m., could not get back to sleep. It was actually criminal.
Unlucky,
I hate it.
dude.
I hate it so much. But the nice thing about that was after our set against the Kings yesterday,
You were able to sleep.
I went to bed at 8 p.m. and I woke up at 4 a.m. right for game 1 of League Worlds. Like,
that is so good.
I was so happy. It was perfect. But yeah. I don't know. Now I'm can you send him a faker meme? Yeah, I don't know. I've been still just thinking about the listening stuff because I still don't even know the answer to that stuff.
You can send it. Someone has to permit you if you wanted to put it in chat, just because I think I have Nightbot or whatever. Or you could just, I guess you could tweet at me with it too, and I could see it then. But I don't have my phone on me right now. It's funny. I had Wooney change my stream title before this episode because I forgot to bring my phone. Well, I didn't forget. My phone was dead because I literally left my phone on because I was watching the set at night in my bed, and it died because I left it on with the set on. And I was like, oh, I won't bring it. I'll charge it. I'm like, oh, shoot, I have to do the podcast. I'm like, I don't even know if Mike's still doing the podcast. So I had Wooney call Mike. And then when Mike got here, I was like, shoot, I don't even know if I'm in the Smite section. I don't know what my stream title is. So we called him and he had to switch my title. And he was the one who tweeted out the tweet that I was going live with it. But it's pretty funny.
Dude, I had a thought about League and I lost it. Now I'm doing it.
No.
Both of us in one episode. That's tragic.
Was it something about
it wasn't
the Weibo?
It might have been, I don't know if it was scrims.
Oh my god, I hate we literally are trolling, dude.
We're just both too tired. Too tired. 4 best of 5s have fried me, man.
Dude, I feel like your team had the worst of it this weekend, though, for sure, and it's not even close. All 11 a.m., all best of 5. Because, like I said, if it was like you had like 1 second set, like it definitely like if someone wanted to sleep in a little bit, you could have. That's the thing.
Okay, I will also say I do prefer 11 a.m. because of the thing we said. I do think it's worse for prep the next day. 11 a.m.
Yes.
Okay, because what normally happens is it sounds over dramatic because like obviously we have a really cool and a really fun job, but when you finish a best of 5 and then you have to play another one the next day, it's not like you're like high energy. Like you are tired. Like your brain is tired because you're like trying to like get like peak performance out of like your focus and everything for like 5 hours, whatever it is. Okay, so to play a best of 5, even if you 3-0, and then you have to do prep for the next team.
And the thing is, too, people, like, I've played with a lot of people, and people don't want to sit there and do prep for a long time.
Yes, man.
And that is completely fine, but it's hard. Like, you can usually get your team to be like, okay, let's sit here and do this prep for a little bit. But if you just played a set, and then you're like, yo, guys, can we just do this prep really quick and get it over with for tomorrow? It's so hard, no matter who you are. It's just,
oh, dude,
it's
now you're tilting
hard.
me. Now you're tilting me. Oh my god. we play our set, okay, and normally when we play the SPL in a regular season set, whether we win or lose, we had a habit this year of we will join Discord and we'll spend an hour talking about it while it's fresh on people's minds, unless people are really frustrated. Like if people are tilted or something, we'll let it go. But normally we will try to talk about it while it's fresh in people's minds. And we literally just do it so that while we're focused, we have notes to work on for scrims, like going into it, okay? It's so different for something like this. We tried not to do it, but like normally you play a set, people want to talk about the set you just played, and then people want to talk about prep, and then people, like you said, people want to leave. So I end up doing prep. I'm not complaining. Like I'm not like saying this is in a bad way towards my teammates or whatever, but I personally am happy to go through a bunch of stuff. Like I just find it fun.
It's hard for people. Like it's not an easy thing. Like there's some people like to do the prep, some people don't. Like it's you just have to like it, and it's like very tedious. I feel like sometimes
it is. And the tough part is like I have to go ask, like, let's say I think of a draft, I have to go ask like, yo, Dardas, would you want to pick this year? Last, would you want to pick this year? Like, you know, you have to ask your teammates, like, oh, like, do you feel, because I don't have their perspective either. So like, the point I'm trying to get to off this tangent is when you are playing the first set every single day, a big thing that's nice about going second is you get to shut your brain off. You play second, you play later in the day. Sure, maybe waiting sucks, but now
it gives you time to talk about it.
Yes, now you get to go to bed, you get to relax, you get to have dinner, you get to do your thing, and then you get to go to bed, think about it, have a fresh mind, reset, and then talk about it before your set.
Yes.
And you can do something, and then you're all focused together, and then it's not that bad.
So much easier. It's literally OP, like, to not have to go. And you guys did back to back to back to back 4 times in a row. That sounds not fun at all.
Yes, it was. I don't know. Like I said, I said it to you before the podcast too. I really hate, like, I hate sounding like, because at the end of the day, I don't think it should change in game that much. Like, sometimes you play well, sometimes you play poorly, but I definitely did feel exhausted. That's for sure. So yeah.
I mean, I feel like anybody would, like, they'd be lying for, but like, it's also depends on the team as well. Like, some people like to sleep in, like, before their sets too. Like, it really comes down to, like, certain players on each team.
I purposely I pick everyone else up in the morning because I'm the one with a like car that can fit everybody, right?
Yeah.
So I pick up Coast last because I know he wants to sleep in the longest. Like, the other 4 of us, we get up pretty early. Like, we'll get up at like 8 a.m. or something. We don't mind, but we normally get him, and it's like 10:30. You can tell he like kind of just woke up and got ready. So like today I asked him, I'm like, hey man, how you, like, the rest of us were talking, I'm like, hey man, how you doing? You awake? You alive? And he's like, yeah, I'm a little EP. And he's just tired. And then, like, you know, you got to warm it up. It's hard to talk about prep in the car. Like, I don't know. It's the whole thing.
Yeah. You don't know unless you're in the situation. I feel like it's hard to say.
Yeah. It is weird because I do. Oh, that's what I was thinking, dude. Thinking about all this stuff, and I hate it. Like, talking about scrims or like, it just makes me want to scrim, and there's something wrong with my brain. I literally would be so down to go home and play a scrim block for some reason. I played 4 best of 5. My brain is just focused on it now. I can't get out.
Dude, scrims are so much fun though. Like, especially like at this time of the year. Like, it just, I want to scrim all the time at this time.
You feel motivated. Yeah. I feel like it feels motivated and feels fun. But yeah.
I'm definitely looking forward to scrimming. What did you ever remember what you thought about the LOL thing?
No idea.
Someone said in chat, Rico said, do you guys ever pick up strats from LOL? Didn't you say you did in like season 4 with like the funnel strat? I think you talked about it in one of the episodes.
Yeah, Scream and I did a lot of stuff with League actually, because we would talk about, like, it's not like, again, we weren't the only team doing stuff like this, because like eventually people come to the same conclusion, but we did take a lot of stuff. Like, if you watch back our games from season 4 and then you can compare it to other teams, there's definitely some plays we did that I feel like a lot of people didn't do. Like, one example is like we dove towers a lot, like early game, because back then people would be alone in 2v2s for longer, generally, like solo side and duo. So like what we would do is, like, anytime you saw me and Scream together on the map, we would literally like just dive. Like, if we were on duo side and we knew like they're on a losing duo, we would literally just loop around at like level 5 and we would just dive them. And like, you never saw
juggle
stuff
the
like
aggro,
that. Yeah, exactly. We would juggle the aggro, and you would never really see that much. Like, League does it all the time, so it was like inspired by that. There was some other stuff.
The other thing that I remember playing with Scream that he got from League, it was like coming through lane to gank. Like, a lot of people, like, that is like a really good thing. I feel like you kind of have to do that in League. Like, in Smite, it's a lot more fast paced, so it's easier to come from like the jungle to gank. But like, they're not going to usually have wards, like, unless you're playing as a merc behind their purple buff or whatever buff camp it was, like, in that meta. Like, they're not gonna have a ward there, so if you come through land like while they're not there and you hide behind the wall,
you like know they're backing and you come up.
There's a high chance that you can do it. You can definitely take stuff from League. It's hard though because the games are so different. Like,
late game macro, I think, kind of translates a little
bit. The thing with League though for late game is that you usually play off someone split pushing, like 90% of the time. You don't do that in Smite that much. Like, you can with some picks, like for instance Chernobog, you can do that, but like it's different because like the way the map is as well, and like the way how items work, and like how CS works as well. Because like if someone gets a huge CS lead and they're fed, like they're fed, like if they play a side lane,
you can't beat them.
Like, that's the thing. Like, if you know that you have a fat boy like that can run it down a lane and plow all the turrets over, like, you're gonna do that. Like in Smite, like everybody has a lot of gold in Smite, like compared to League, so it's hard. Like, the macro is I feel like it is similar in some regards, but like the split pushing thing is like different for sure.
Yeah, the split pushing is way different, but I think the thing with the sieging for me and what we took from it is we would call like I remember every time we would back with like fire, we would just call numbers. It would be like, 005 is like we just 5-man stack a lane, right?
Yeah.
Or we would just call like 131 or 212 or something like that, like all that type of stuff was kind of because I think back then people were actually really bad at
terrible.
sieging. All people did was, dude, there was a
Scream really, I feel like the split pushing, like the things that he did would really like open up the game for
sure
with the jungle. Like,
well, it was weird the evolution in Smite because him and Pern used to do stuff where they would like they play Bastet and they would backdoor stuff like that. Like the backdooring kind of happened, but the actual sieging, because I remember there was a set. It was season 4 regionals and we were watching it. We were like pulling our hair out. It was Dignitas Rival. And it was like one of the first ever, maybe the first game ever in Smite. Actually, no, it wasn't the first, but it was one of the first where Dig got 3 Phoenixes down and then lost the game. And it was because they would just keep pushing 5 people into the same freaking Phoenix and they just couldn't siege and they would get owned. And I was just thinking like,
they just split.
Why wouldn't you split? Why wouldn't you do this or why wouldn't you do that? And like,
Pern was like the first person to do it, and then Scream I feel like really like took it and like sent it into overdrive kind of. Pern definitely like started it though, for sure. He did a really good job of it. I remember playing with him. Yeah,
Scream was very like the thing that I thought was cool, and the part we took from League a little bit is like they mix and match a little bit. Like the obvious combo is like sometimes support and ADC will be together on a Phoenix, but we would be a little bit more free because I think we had just gotten inspired from League where we would just be like, oh, well, like we can have like our mid laner and our like soul laner siege together, and then we can have like our jungler with our support, and then the ADC can like, if they're a god like Bog or something, or in League, I don't know what the champ would be, but if they're a god like Bog, like maybe that guy's safe alone. I don't know what the example was.
Bog was in League, people would be like, what the heck is going on? Dude, I said this, by the way, every Smite character, if they got put in a League, they would all be ridiculously OP.
You think so?
Every single character, yes.
I feel like the other way around it would be.
No. Smite characters, if they got placed in League, they are broken.
Okay.
Like they are top pick, top ban. Every single Smite character, even the worst Smite character, like Arachne or whatever. Yes, they are the best character in the game. I'm not joking. Like they're insane. Like you don't realize you don't realize how OP like the Smite characters are compared to the League characters, because like the Smite characters are built around beads. Like there isn't beads in League. Like imagine Ares in League of Legends. I literally flash Ares ult the entire team. It's just over. Like you pull them all. Yeah, sure, they cleanse the stun. If you just drop a whatever mage ult, they one shots their you Ares ult them all, and then you Orianna ult them all. They cleanse the stun. Oh wow, they cleanse the stun. Whoa, good job. Like they're still gonna die. Like there's no beads. Like any character, all the movement abilities are crazy in Smite as well. Like I don't know, there isn't a single character that wouldn't be broken in League that's from Smite.
You know what I've thought about for a long time? Okay, say the dimensions would be the same, like how much of a lane or how much of a tower it covers. Do you know how broken Yamoja would be in League?
Dude, yeah, every character
would be ridiculous.
You can make an argument for every Smite character that they are completely broken.
There's no way Osiris is broken in League.
Yes.
Why?
Because there's no character that can jump over the wall like Osiris, like that. Like that's like a frontliner that also has damage mitigation, a slow on the 3-second cooldown that can get empowered, and then he makes everybody else do less damage with his tether.
I don't know, man.
It's broken, bro.
I feel like there are other kits that are more broken in League for tech.
No way, dude. If Osiris landed against any top laner in League, Osiris would dominate them.
Okay, what about like
his cleave auto attacks? He would literally go on the wave and then slow him, and then slow him again, and then tether him, and they're like, "Oh, I do less damage. Just how am I supposed to fight him?"
Dude, honestly, we should just do an episode on this. But no way you think every Guardian of Smite is better than like Bard, for example.
Yes.
How?
Dude, every character's better. Bard, like, dude, Bard has a sick kit, sure. But if you put Bard in Smite, he would be worse than every Guardian in Smite.
Bro, Bard's all it is broken.
It is sick, yeah. But okay. We could agree to disagree. I think every Smite character is just insanely over. Like they are so overpowered. You can make an argument for the worst. Like what's the worst Smite character you think of right now? Like off the top of your head, that character is broken in League for sure.
I don't know, man. Okay, hold on. Is it because of the damage numbers? Like, okay, for example, let's say it's like, what's a character that one-shots waves really early? Like Izanami, for example.
Yeah.
Like Izanami would be broken.
Yeah.
If you just get to auto push, okay? What's the character?
Dude, Rama's broken. Rama has a Jin ult that makes you damage immune that doesn't get blocked. And he also has piercing auto attacks. Like, imagine you have piercing auto attacks and like, you're literally just going just shooting their whole team down, critting them. Like, dude, he is so broken. Like, I don't know. Every character is insane.
Okay, what about Bacchus?
Bacchus is insane. He has a stun and a knockup. No support in League has two.
You are not picking Bacchus over Rakan. There's no way.
Dude, yes you are. You literally have a stun. His ult does more damage than anything in Rakan's kit. His flop is a knockup. And knockups are broken,
Does
dude.
Rakan have knockups?
Yeah, but Bacchus' knockup is just better than Rakan's.
Why?
And then he has a stun on top of that. And then he has damage mitigation. Also, every Smite character is like 10 times tankier than any League support as well.
That's for sure true.
Like,
that's items, though.
Yeah.
We have more gold than they do.
Yeah, sure, but regardless, like, if you put like a Smite, dude, it is crazy. Like, it is, every character is so broken and from Smite in League. It is, dude, people would lose their mind in League from any Smite character. Like, they should just do it for fun and just see. Like, that character would be the best character 100% if they literally copied a Smite character and put it into League.
The amount of money I would pay to see Yemoja in League, I would love that.
Dude, she'd be so broken.
Nothing would make me happy.
Oh my god.
Dude, especially because they have a lot of healing items, don't they? Or shielding items? They have shielding items too, I think. Like,
yeah, I think someone said it in here somewhere as well that, yeah, Blep said like every Smite character insta clears a wave. Like, wave
that
clear
is a big deal.
Wave clear in League is OP. He's right. Like,
of course, yeah.
You can Yemoja shoot down a wave as a support and one shot it. Like, you don't see any support doing that in League. They'd be like, what is this character? He can one shot the wave?
Okay, you're saying they get ported over as they are damage numbers.
Yes, like it's just identical.
Sure, then. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, like if a League character comes into Smite and a Smite character goes into League, like if you put the character there, they're just broken. Like, and most League characters are bad in Smite.
Every Smite ADC actually would be better because they scale way quicker. They scale so much quicker. It's not even close.
Yeah, it's the Smite characters are just so much more broken, and it's just because how the game is made as well. Like, the game is made around purification beads. Like, if beads wasn't a thing, it'd be different.
If you're a character that doesn't care about beads, if I'm Ra, why does it matter?
Because you have
following up off.
You have CC immunity on your alt. Like, people don't have CC immunities on there. That's like
Or do they not?
They don't. Yeah. Like,
okay, that is different.
Yeah, like there's no CC immunity in League. Like, you can get like Quicksilver Sash or whatever it's called now, and like Cleanse, and that's it. Yeah, Aegis Stopwatch is like a thing.
Stopwatch, yeah.
Yeah.
But you have to buy it, right? Like, it's not like a repeatable relic, I don't think, or if summoner in their case.
We should do an episode.
We should,
dude. If I could get my brother on, we should do an episode with like where we talk about. He talks about League characters
to make, yeah.
Yeah, well, no, you don't have to know anything. He would bring up some League characters, and we can tell him about some Smite characters, and we'd be like, how would these be in the game? And we would probably say every League character that sounds like garbage is what we would say, and then we would tell him what the Smite character does. He'd be like, how is that not played? Like, we would get to explain like the Arachne's kit to him, and he'd be like, how is that not the most broken god in the game? Like, I swear to God that would happen. I'm not even trolling.
Dude, I don't know. I've thought about
I am not even trolling.
The only two characters I played in League ever was I played Poppy top and I played Leona support. Those are the only two characters.
I like those kids. I like how that's what you played.
I love those characters. They were so fun. Those are the only characters I played at all. Okay.
Yeah.
And if I think, Leona is like, she has a hook, an auto that stuns. Her alt is like it's like Horus ult, but it stuns basically.
Yeah, it's not a global, it's a long range.
Yeah, it's like semi-global basically. I forget what her fourth ability is.
I forget all her abilities as well.
Oh, it's like it's kind of like an Amma 2, I think. Like, it's an Amma, it's like you damage me, and then if you're still in the circle, instead of it being a skill shot, if you're still in the circle, I think you take damage. It's something like that. Okay, she is not a broken support in League, but she would definitely not be broken in Smite. Like, for sure, she would not be broken.
Yeah, every Smite character would dominate that character in lane.
You think Poppy jungle would be bad in Smite?
Yeah.
It's actually just worse Herc push.
Poppy Jungle would just get wrecked by any jungler in Smite.
Honestly, Poppy Jungle is just worst hook push. I can't speak. Yeah, you have to hit a wall to stun them.
Yeah.
You have to hit them into. It's like on her impale and Herc push together.
The only thing that Poppy has going for over, like, I guess the one thing if you really want to make this argument, like if I'm arguing from the League of Legends side,
Yeah.
the argument that I can bring in is that Poppy's dash is you click them and you hit it guaranteed. Herc push you can miss.
Sure.
That's the only thing I feel like that you can argue.
Okay, if ADCs come over, do they instantly hit their autos? League ADC comes over, do they have to aim their auto?
No.
Okay, so Smite ADCs don't have to aim their auto. To be clear.
No, they do have to aim the autos still.
The Smite ADC in League has to aim.
Yeah.
Okay, that's because
I feel like if you bring them like you just take this character, they're exactly the same and you put them in Smite, even though that's like not possible or whatever. Like that's how I'm thinking about it.
I feel like League ADCs hitting every auto isn't actually as broken as people think it is. Okay, do they hit over walls? They can click me over a wall and they hit me guaranteed.
That's where it's like hard because like the maps are. It depends on what map you're playing on.
Okay, if a League ADC can click me over a wall and hit me guaranteed, I don't want to play against that. That's all I know.
Yeah, what does Rengar do with no bush? True, dude. Rengar would not be the best. Like even if there was bushes, Rengar
bushes
would not.
Actually are a really big deal too.
Yeah,
that is a big difference.
That is true. If there's like imagine if you were stupid any Smite jungler in a bush, you'd one shot, dude. If Erling ganked you as a League of Legends player, you would literally say, "What is that character?" That's 1,000. There's like a meme that they say like 1,000 years of balance or whatever they say all the time. Like
the knockup version, he has 3 abilities that force your freaking flash.
Dude, any jungler like Fenrir, imagine if Fenrir just jumping on you, stunning you. Oh, the jungler has a stun that lasts, and then he goes big dog, bites you, and runs you across the map. You're like, what is going on, dude? How is this character in the game? They'd be like, this is not balanced. Like, it's actually insane.
Okay,
dude.
At first I was hard disagree, but the beads thing is like you can't argue the beads thing. It's such a big deal.
Every character in Smite is just made around beads.
At one point, I tried to think of Guardians that people didn't play, and when I said Bacchus, I thought about Kumba for 1 second. I was
Kumba
like,
be OP.
Insanely broken.
Kumba in the game like League would be 10 times better than he would be in Smite as well.
Of course, he'd be broken.
Yeah, he'd be so broken because you don't like. You have to lane with him, but like the laning phase is like about trading and like taking your spots more than like continuously fighting like in
Kumba's
Smite.
lane, like his root is good in lane. Like he's like good damage.
And Mez as well. Like he'd be insane with any League hunter or like whatever they call him in that game.
Athena dash shot? You mean Athena dash taunt? Athena dash taunt in League would be OP. Dude, absolutely broken.
Athena's like Shen on steroids.
What about Ardio? Okay, if you played Ardio top,
dude, Ardio would dominate everybody. Like, wow, dude, you literally have a stun. You have a heal that heals your team if they're close. You have a stun and a root in your kit. You have a dash so you can never get ganked. Imagine, dude, there's no character in League that's that safe. Like, they gank you.
You can catch your dash pretty easily.
Yeah, but the characters don't have CC like that in what's it called in League. That can catch your dash.
Is CC really that scarce?
Yes. Yeah. Compared to Smite, yes.
Okay, what's the heaviest CC kit? Is there so for example, like Erlang used to get memed because he had 3 non-DRable CCs. It was like the most extreme thing ever, right?
Yeah.
Is there any like support champ, anything in League that has 4 abilities with CC, including slows? No one.
I don't think so, at least. I think Rakan has the most CC, maybe. I actually don't know, though. I'm very rusty with, like, League knowledge, so I'm bad to ask.
Okay, something that I feel like is different, though, like, if someone said ESET, surely objective, secure characters are worse in League because of Smite, though.
What do you mean? Like Kukulkan, you're saying?
Yeah, like if you
or like if you're like trying to secure fire or
you're trying to Vulcan out a fire, and the jungler can outsmite you to secure. Like surely it's worse. Those characters are.
Well, Vulcan ult does more than Smite does late game.
What does Smite do late game?
900.
Okay, 900.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, maybe not then.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It is crazy.
I think it does 900. I could be wrong. Someone correct me in chat if I'm wrong.
That sounds right. It's something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But dude, no, yeah, you're saying Volibear and Mordekaiser would be insane in Smite? No, they would not be insane, dude. They would get wrecked by every warrior and probably not even, dude, Fafnir would probably beat a Mordekaiser and Volibear in lane.
You know what I did?
I'm not even trolling. Like in solo lane, if you're Fafnir, you would probably beat them in solo lane.
I did think people were flexing. Like T1 was flexing Ashe support in League. Ashe is literally like, I don't know if this is the best example, but it's like Artemis and Neith mixed kind of. Like Ashe's ult is literally just Neith ult, but you can miss it. It's an important thing. Like you can actually miss it. And then I think Ashe just has like a spammable like slow.
Yeah.
Just an AoE spammable slow. I think it's, instead of like Artemis, I think it's like wider, if I'm not mistaken. But it's literally all she does in support. Is she pushes the lane, has a global stun that forces flash or insta-kills, basically, if your team has follow-up, and then has a slow. And I was thinking, like, that would be, like, I imagine playing Neith support, which is broken, by the way, but I imagine playing Neith support, and everybody would tell me I'm trolling, and then in League, they're literally, like, first picking it and flexing.
And Neith is, like, 20 times better than Ashe.
Yeah, Neith is for sure.
Literally 100 times better.
Neith root is broken.
Autolock, you literally have a root, you have an AoE root, you have a heal attack speed slow, and a regular slow on your backflip, and you can jump away from them.
It's
like Ashe, if you
get
get gone on as Ashe and you don't have flash up, you're just dead. Neith, you're like, I'm gonna just backflip out of here. Like,
is mobility also more scarce in League?
Yes,
CC and less mobility.
Yes.
Okay, then, I mean, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, CC mobility. That's what I'm saying. Osiris would be broken. You're saying, like, dude, they see someone Osiris ult, he's flying across the map, and he stupid lands on you and slows you to like 10 times in a row. You're like, what? Dude,
I always used to think before Yemoja, my argument was always Serket. Like, I think Serket would be so broken.
Dude, every character.
She one shots jungle camps.
Yeah.
She has a built-in bush as well. And then she just has 2 beads forcers, like it'd be broken.
I would love them to just put one Smite character though, and like it's never gonna happen, but it'd be so cool.
Which one do you think would be the most broken? My brain thinks it's Yemoja for the
probably Yemoja. Maybe not though. Probably.
It might be a character like Ares. It's a simple beads force. It might be something like that.
I mean, yeah, Fenrir is probably insane too in jungle. Like he literally has a stim that gives him lifesteal and power.
Outbox everybody.
Yeah.
Surely she would.
Yeah, she would.
Also, Arachne's downside is her clear, and Smite kind of fixes your clear, right?
Oh, Jing Chen would be a good one too.
Oh no, wait, okay, Jing Chen would actually be broken.
Yeah, dude. 2 immunity frames, like, dude. People are like, "What are immunity frames? Why can't I hit this guy?" As people would say in League, like they're trying to auto him and he's just in the air and he's immune. Like they'd be like, "What?"
I think Maui would be really broken too.
Yeah,
Maui alt would be broken.
I mean, Maui's just like a better Thresh. Yeah, he's just like Thresh on he's like Thresh on steroids, basically.
Yeah, that is interesting. What about like Agni? Is Agni broken? Just like an old school kid.
Yeah, Agni would be crazy.
Why?
Dude, he's literally like Xerath, but like 20 times better than Xerath.
I don't know what that means.
Xerath is a god that he has like an ult that like shoots like balls out, like that are really tiny and you can like miss them. Agni's bomb is a huge circle that he can stun someone with it, and it one-shots if you get hit. You literally, dude, if you hit an Agni bomb stun, you one-shot a carry, because even if they beads it. Because
you just 2-stun triple bomb, they're dead.
Yeah. They can cleanse it, but you would still one shot them because they'd have to stop. They'd have to go quick Silver Sash, which they have to buy, and then they have to also have a stopwatch or an Aegis, and they have to keep rebuying the stopwatch or they just die to Agni off cooldown or whatever. Have to go Aegis. Like he would be completely broken, and he's a dash, dude. He can't get gone on. Like Ari, for example,
stopwatch is Aegis, but you have to buy it like an item.
Yeah.
Is it more expensive than 500 pot? I don't know.
I have no idea. People hate stopwatch, and it's like one of the biggest contention points of
Janus
League.
Would be broken.
Yeah.
Insanely broken. So broken. Imagine a character he insta clears everything on the map. Literally, he Shintos the whole map. It's all gone.
Yeah. What if League, LOL, and Smite traded items and relics? I mean, if
we should actually just save this for an episode.
Yeah,
that would be so good.
Yeah, we should. This is a good episode. We'll save it. We'll stop talking about it. But I swear to God, I will die on a hill. Every character in Smite is SS most broken. People would complain on Reddit for months and weeks and years if any Smite character, even the worst, even if you're saying Arachne's the worst character, would get added into League, they would be so broken if they
I don't think Arachne would be the worst character. No way.
Yeah.
No way it would ever be Arachne.
Yeah.
I'd have to think of one.
Yeah. All the Smite characters are pretty cool. Like, they're pretty good.
Is Kakalin not just worse than Gnar?
No, Kakalin's better.
Why is he better than Gnar?
because it's easier for him to build rage than Gnar.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, and he also one-shots the
Even in
wave.
late game?
Yeah.
How does Gnar build rage?
He has to auto-attack the wave. Kakolin can use abilities and one-shot the wave. Gnar has to sit there throwing his little boomerang to get it.
Okay. No, Scotty's broken. Scotty can't be the worst.
That might be a good one though. Like that,
Kakolin,
Kakolin like might be bad, but I still think he'd be broken though. Like,
yeah,
that is he has like a ticking ability as well. Like,
do people ever play Gnar support? Like I was thinking, like, what if you're Kakolin support? You don't even have to clear the wave. You're just hitting it over and over, and then if they fight you at level 2, you kill them. You know, something.
Yeah,
like
you would just kill him. For
like
sure.
in Smite, it's not that good, but like in League, like it's like
you're just stronger than everybody on the map.
You have 4 abilities, and they don't. You have 4.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just broken.
Hell would be broken. Hell would be super broken.
Hell would be so crazy.
Hell would be nuts. Okay.
But yeah.
All right, we should save this. Okay, chat. You guys have homework. Congratulations on acquiring the homework. You will all
That'll be a fun episode. We have to get my brother on for that. That is a perfect episode.
Honestly, we should if you go home for any of the holidays, we should do it with him.
That'd be so sick. Yeah, we should do it 100%. We'll do that. We'll have to get my brother on. We'll have to do it, and then
for those of you who don't know, Aurora's, like, if you haven't listened before, if you don't know, Aurora's brother has been a League professional player streamer for it's like 8 years now,
9 years.
Yes, it's been a long time.
He was at the finals too.
Oh really?
Yeah, he was there.
Cool.
It was cool. Yeah, I was talking to him.
Yeah,
last night.
Yeah, we would get a bomb of knowledge.
Yeah, that'll be so much fun. But oh man, that is gonna be a great episode whenever we actually end up getting around to doing it. It's gonna be so good.
Yeah,
I want to I could sit there, I could actually talk about this for a long time now that we're on it, and like, oh man,
that's why we gotta save it.
We gotta save it. We gotta save it.
I'm not gonna lie, chat. I am so tired. I'm so tired. So yeah, I think that's all I got. Unless there's anything else you had for the day.
No, I'm good.
I suppose
we're good. I'm good.
Crazy.
We're gonna talk about, I guess, the SPL a little bit. We could save that for another episode. Like just the format this year, we'll save it. We'll save it.
Yeah,
I feel like this was a fun episode.
Yeah,
it was good.
The League thing.
The League thing at the end was
my brain.
That got me going, dude, for sure.
Now that I feel like I tipped it a little bit with the Colin. Now I'm trying to find more. But yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. Hopefully everybody had fun watching the tournament. Obviously, always fun to get back to Worlds time, best of fives, all that. It'll be fun. Honestly, I'm really excited to watch. This is kind of troll, but I'm really excited to watch the SEC teams as well, because I feel like there's some good SEC teams, and like they've done well the past few tournaments. So like, who knows what could happen? But yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that's it, everybody. You can find us, like I said, if we go back for holidays, if we do a different day or whatever on the live stream end of things, you can check our Twitters. We'll update you. Otherwise, same schedule for YouTube at PBM Smite on my YouTube channel, or inside the SPL on Spotify. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Appreciate it. Have a good night, day, whenever you're listening. Bye.
Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
One if I'm trolling from Professor BM. You can hear the audience. I wonder if there's a